at a good
I forgot you
at
were
a
go ahead, I'm sorry.
that's okay. At a good rate, not anything that was unhealthy. Um, and I was just the fatigue, the exhaustion. I couldn't take a nap and feel better, but I was constantly going. I was working full time. Then I would either end up at the hospital after work and before work. And then he was also in a nursing home. So I would go there before I went to work in the morning. And I started to have changes in my vision. The only medical condition I ever had prior was I had migraines. My migraines were getting worse, but I was busy. I would, if I was lucky, maybe I slept 4 hours a night. And that wasn't necessarily straight through. Plus the calls when my brother would get sick, when things would happen. So it wasn't that sound sleep. So cancer was definitely not on my radar. Plus, I was 36 years old. And yes, I know I said I was a registered nurse, but when I learned about lung cancer, nothing that I learned I would have even thought about to say, hey, maybe I'm at risk. I came from a coal mining region. I grew up in my grandparents' house that had a dirt cellar that I can guarantee you had radon, never tested. I mean, we didn't know about that back in that day.
Right.
Um, so lung cancer was definitely not on my radar. About the week before I was diagnosed, I thought I probably have lymphoma because of the way my immune system was. It was, I was just all over the place, not sleeping, so on and so forth. The following week, after I had thought that I had lymphoma, and of course, like the good nurse I am, I don't go to the doctor. Um,
Mhm.
I was getting ready for work that morning, and I had this twitch in my arm and in my eye. And I thought, this isn't right. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna lose consciousness. I can just tell. So I called 911 and I grabbed my migraine medicine. I had my purse in my living room. I threw all my migraine medicine in my purse, called 911, unlocked the door, and within 10 minutes, the paramedics would find me in my apartment and I had had a seizure, but we didn't know that at the time. They thought I had had a stroke, which was what I thought was happening as well. And when they scanned my brain in the ER and they had called a stroke alert, they found a mass in my brain. They went on to do further scans and they found the mass in my lung and spots just everywhere. And I'm going to call them spots,
Mhm.
um, because something that those of you that are listening that have been diagnosed with lung cancer or any type of cancer, radiologists overread everything, and any little spot that they see, they're going to tell you is cancer. It's just nobody wants to be sued. So everything until they can rule it out with a better test is neoplasm is not excluded as the radiology lingo. So I ended up getting intubated. They had given me Ativan after they, realized I had had a seizure, standard treatment for somebody that had a seizure. But at this point, I'm like 100-ish pounds, skin and bones. And then I lost my airway.
Oh,
So then I got myself a breathing tube for a good chunk of the day.
mhm.
It was still probably 4 to 5 days before I really knew what was going on. They had transferred me to a hospital that accepted my insurance because, of course, the one right by where I was living at the time did not accept my insurance. Um, and when I was, aware enough, they basically told me you have 6 months to 18 months at best with your treatment and get your belongings in order. Well, that didn't kind of go over real well with me. I'm pretty stubborn. I'm a fighter. So,
You should.
they did a test called a bronchoscopy.
Mhm,
And what they did was they took what it is they take a sample of the tumor. Now, I didn't know this at the time, and this was not, it's called biomarker testing, genomic testing. It all means the same thing. And then they send it away.
mhm,
And Juanita introduced me as I have EGFR positive lung cancer. So there's all these little fun alphabet soup, I call them, and acronyms. Um, it's epidermal growth factor receptor is the type of lung cancer that I have. What that means in plain language is I am able to take a pill to fight my lung cancer. I have a genetic mutation in my lung, and now this pill is going to help me fight lung cancer. Well, as a nurse who learned from the very beginning, everybody gets chemotherapy. You were not convincing me otherwise that I'm going to take a pill. After I went to my comprehensive cancer center, which is Fox Chase in Philadelphia, you were not content. You really were not going to convince me that I'm going to take a pill. I went to see a neurosurgeon first because I wanted to be very, very aggressive. Like I told you, I take care of my brother.
mhm,
And I told everybody I have a sibling that I care for. He has an intellectual disability. I'm his voice, I'm his advocate. And I need to be okay. So I had a craniotomy.
mhm,
I had three cyberknife radiation treatments.
mhm,
So where my tumor was, it was on this left side. It's called the parietal lobe. They came in, it's like an arm
mhm,
where it comes around your head, and they did three treatments where they radiated where the tumor was after I had the brain surgery. And then I started on my first targeted therapy, or the acronym for that is TKI.
mhm,
So, being that we knew that I was EGFR positive, the targeted therapy first line at that time, which was the best choice, and that's why you should always have biomarker testing. Sometimes they don't always tell you, which was what I learned because I was in a hospital at the time,
mhm,
and that nobody ever explains to you, well, we're going to send your tumor off for this type of testing that may give us more information. They were just very and this was not Fox Chase, so let me back up a little bit. This was at a different hospital where I was transferred to, um when they were telling me that I only had 6 months to 18 months at best. But nobody told me about the biomarker testing until well after the fact when it was already done. Um, so after that, I started on Tarceva. Now, the great thing about having a biomarker is most of our biomarkers have specific treatments. However, these treatments only last so long, and then the cancer comes back. So I had about 14 months of stability. I was even no evidence of disease for, I'd like to say about 5 minutes. It was about 6 months.
mhm,
Um, so it came back, and I developed what they call the resistance mechanism to that medication. So then I started on my second targeted therapy, which is Tagrisso, which was not even approved at the time when I was diagnosed. It was less than a year. So that's something I want to point out. Research is moving. We don't always know, when we're diagnosed, um, what's going on in the research world. And that's why I've gotten very involved. It's something for me, people will say to you, well, what are your tools in your toolbox that you use to cope with all the stress, the anxiety, the depression? And I got very involved with my diagnosis and learned as much as I possibly can. And so I started on this second medication. It was just 5 years in January that I'm on the medication. In January of 2020, which we all would like to forget 2020 because it's when
Yeah.
COVID started. There was also this wonderful new thing for us stage 4 patients who were not operable at the time of our diagnosis called consolidative therapy. So we were either able to have surgery or we can have radiation to our tumor in our lung. And they brought me to tumor board. Tumor board is a beautiful thing. Never be afraid of tumor board. I've been there a million and one times. And honestly, it's the reason I'm still here. Um, it's all these smart people, all of the doctors in one room, and everybody talks about your case and figures out what the best option is for you. Um, so the general consensus was to have my right upper lobe, because that's where my mass is,
Mhm.
was to have it radiated. So I did 5 treatments of that. And the following year, they were able to declare me no evidence of disease, which is something with a stage 4 patient that is very rare. So I am beyond grateful, thankful. I really just don't even have the words for it most days. Um, I was just 3 years no evidence of disease, July 19th of this year. And the week after that, on July 27th, I celebrated 7 years
Awesome.
of being diagnosed. Thank you. It's been a roller coaster.
Of course. Yes, this disease is a roller coaster. Now, Tiffany, you're Ned or NED. I say Ned. Are you still taking any type of targeted therapy for maintenance, or are you not taking no treatments whatsoever?
So because of being stage 4, I take a pill every day. And at this point, until we know any more in the research, there's nothing saying that I can go off of the medication, and that's okay.
Right.
Um, Now my course has been very aggressive,
Mhm.
but that's what I wanted. Some people may not want to be as aggressive. I could have opted to not have the brain surgery and just have the radiation.
Mhm.
However, it was better at that point to have both for me in the situation I was in. Um, so again, it's a lot of factors.
Right.
I had the doctors that were telling me get your affairs in order,
Mhm.
and then I had the opposite extreme to the doctors that were saying, you got a long road ahead of you, but you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I was told the same thing. Go home, get your affairs in order. And then I had one doctor that said, nope, I'm going to help you fight this. You're going to make it. And look at me.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just need that one to give you that hope, because there is hope.
Absolutely. And
I'm an example of that, and you are an example of that. Wow, yeah, that's an amazing story. I'm so glad that you're Ned. I'm not Ned, but that's okay. I'm maintenance, and that's okay. I can take it. I'm stable. I should stay.
that's
I mean,
that's
yeah, I'm stable, and so I'm okay with that. I'll take that any day.
absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Now, I know you brought up biomarker testing. I also really advocate for biomarker testing. Tell the audience and maybe someone who was just diagnosed, or maybe someone out there that's listening that knows someone. Oh, now that just reminded me. I was supposed to call somebody. I totally forgot. Oh my God. I just remember I'm a text and said, can I call you tomorrow? Oh my God, I feel so bad. I didn't call this poor girl. I think her mom was just diagnosed, but she was early stage, which is good. And I said, I'll text her, and I feel so bad. I forgot. you're watching, I'm so sorry. I'll text you. Um, but like someone that's watching that might, like me, just found out someone who was just diagnosed, and even though if they're stage 1 or 2, they could still have the biomarker testing. How important is it? Let If someone is watching right now who is just diagnosed or knows someone and never heard of biomarker testing, tell them how important is biomarker testing.
It is the utmost of importance. I would not start treatment without knowing that. There's certain treatments that you can start that may not be the right treatment for you, or in medical terms, they call it precision medicine. And it really is treatment that's tailored to your type of biomarker. Juanita has a different biomarker than me. So the medicine she takes is not the same medicine that I take, and vice versa. Um, she takes a completely different kind of targeted therapy pill
Mhm.
that would not work for me, and mine wouldn't work for her.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, so I know that you talked about you come from an area where there's a lot of coal mines, and I know we talked about environmental. You were sharing with me about environmental, how important it is, because a lot of people don't understand. We lung cancer has a stigma. We're what's the right word I'm trying to say? We are judged because of that stigma. So we tell somebody, hey, I have lung cancer. And it's not like you tell someone, oh, I have breast, I have colon, I have kidney or whatever. They, oh, I'm so sorry. But you tell them, yeah, I have lung cancer. And they look at you like you did the most horrible thing. And they don't understand that, yes, smoking is a factor in lung cancer. Yes, that is true. But it's not the only factor, because I'm non-smoker. Tiffany, I'm assuming you're non-smoker as well. Okay, so there are other factors. Talk about that, because I know that you also advocate um for environmental, when it comes to lung cancer.
So some of the environmental factors, um, one of them, um, and it's more of a being a woman, we have what I like to call the crazy estrogen. And men that are on here, you're probably laughing. Oh, they're all have crazy estrogen. They're all get crazy. True, but being on birth control, um, there's a study going on at my cancer center where this estrogen can actually be a cause of lung cancer.
Wow.
And so, being a woman, having that estrogen production, occupational hazards, anybody that works with any type of carcinogen that can be exposed, our firefighters, our first responders, um, working in an industrial factory, battery plants, being exposed to radon, dirt basements, that has a high incidence of radon. The house that I built in 2020 while I was having my lung radiated has a high incidence of radon in the soil. And I talked to one of our other lung cancer sisters, and she helped me through the whole process of getting a radon mitigation system in, put into my house. So that's not something that I have to worry about anymore. We didn't know that growing up at my noni and grandpa's, because I was there a lot with my brother being sick. They lived in the same school district I went to. They had a dirt basement. As a kid, we had a coal stove. That's where I played. My parents would shake the coal stove and I'd be right down there, or I'd roller skate in our garage. Well, that was where our coal bin was. We didn't know at the time that was not really a healthy thing, and that was our source of heat.
Right. Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up, because yeah, it's always that stigma, and we get like, judged, and we get looked down, and
Mhm.
because they think it's smoking, but it's not. Yeah, smoking is still number one, of course. But I think number two, if I'm not mistaken, guys, and don't quote me, go look it up, do your own research. If I'm not mistaken, I think radon gas is number two.
I want to say you're right as well.
Radon gas. Now, a lot of you guys, so I don't know who's watching. It could be lung cancer, brothers and sisters. It could be none, right? Um, but even if you had lung cancer and you weren't sure about the radon, it's not too late to test your house and you could get a kit. When I was diagnosed, my husband did lots of research and he found out about radon gas. So he's either like, oh, how do I go about testing my house? You buy a kit. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember which, and I think he ordered it online, but I don't remember if it was Walmart or Target. He bought it at one of them stores. And it came in because we didn't have time to go because we were so busy with all my appointments. It came in, and what you do is, I don't remember, guys, it's almost 10 years ago. It was like a little tube or something, I don't know, jar, I don't know. Open it up and you sit it in your basement for 24 hours. Just the thing open, it sits in your basement. After 24, and don't quote me, guys, because I don't remember. He did it, not me. You seal it up, and then they give you an envelope, and you put the envelope and you send it, and then they will tell you, like, I guess in an email, yes, your house tested positive for radon or no. So if you've never done that, you want to do that, do it. You could probably get the kit now on Amazon. You can get everything on Amazon. Um, but yeah, do that. And if you don't have lung cancer and you're like, oh, I didn't know that, do it anyways, because you never know. Okay, you never know. She is 100% correct about our firefighters. Both my sons are firemen. I worry about them all the time. And I tell them, at least here at my local hospital, they do a low, if their insurance don't want to pay it because you know insurance says, oh well, what's the reason you want a CAT scan? Okay, well, there's no reason we're not gonna pay for it, right? So at least my hospital offers, and there's another one here in Northwest Indiana. So if you're from Northwest Indiana and you're listening and you're watching, and you know you have a persistent cough, or you know you just want to get yourself checked, or maybe you were a former smoker and you quit 15 years ago, you need to get a CT scan, and you don't have insurance, or your insurance don't want to pay for it. St. Catherine's Hospital here where I live in East Chicago, Indiana, they do it like for, I want to say, 49.99 or something like
Oh,
that. But now I saw Franciscan. So again, this is Northwest Indiana. Franciscan, I saw it because I looked it up for, I think it was my sister. Um, and Franciscan had it. Also, you could go get it and pay, and it was like 40 something dollars, maybe 50 something dollars, and get a low dosage CT scan. So you can do that. If you don't have insurance, or you know, you just want to be sure, do that. You never know. If you live in a heavy polluted area like where I live at East Chicago, it's all industrial. When I'm here, I swear I think I'm always sick. When I go on vacation, I could breathe. I'm like, oh my God, I could breathe. The minute I land in Chicago and I walk through that darn airport, it's like it hits me. I get so stuffy. I'm congested. It's like, because I'm in Europe or Mexico or somewhere else, and it's clean air, it's better over there. The minute I come here to Chicago, it's horrible. I can't. So if you, that's what I'm saying. Educate yourself, get that low dosage CT scan. Um, you know, you might work at BP. We have the BP plant right here where I live. I mean, you might work in those industries that could cause cancer. And if your insurance don't want to pay for it, take advantage, you know, call your local hospital. They might have it where you live at, and ask, because you know, it's the best time to catch lung cancer, honestly, guys, is stage one.
on
Stage two, but stage one, you want to catch it right in the beginning. Because when you're
the earth.
already advanced stage two, 3 and 4, like Tiffany and I, man, you're gonna, I mean, we're living. Look at, she made the 5 year mark. I made the 10 year mark. We're living. but it's not easy. Side effects, we feel crappy. Our immune system is, we're immunocompromised. I mean, we have good days, we have bad days. We might look good. I haven't worked out. I have to work out because look, I'm getting my flabby. I gotta
I
go get
haven't either. I don't want to talk about it. My bingo arms.
you know, we might look good. We dress up, put makeup on. It's not easy. These targeted therapy, these treatments we take does a number on our body, and people don't realize that. They see us and they're like, "Oh, you guys, oh, Tiffany, you look so good, girl. You look great." And then they're, yes, I might look good because makeup does wonders. Or putting on a dress, doing your hair, putting makeup does wonders. But it's how we feel because the treatments make us feel crappy. And that's what they don't understand.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm glad you brought up the environmental. I know, and my husband till this day, 10 years later, would always tell me, I think you got lung cancer because of all the perfumes. Because I love perfume. I mean, I go out, whatever, honey. I put that perfume on and we inhale that. And perfume has carcinogens and who knows what else. Phthalates. Phthalates. He's here. He's uh all that stuff. So he to this day he thinks that is what caused, because it's like more women get lung cancer than men. Why is that? Because girl, we're putting that body spray, that perfume, all that stuff that we're inhaling, especially the sprays. And I love the body sprays in the summertime. I get a light scent, I put it on, I go and but and I still do it. He gets mad. He should be putting, I don't care. I'm gonna smell good. Um, but I remember I brought that up, less than 10 years ago, but it was the beginning of my journey. And I said, you know what, guys, we need to look into that. And the ones here, the American doctors or medical professionals or whatever. And I'll never forget that. I was in a Zoom meeting and it was with different people from all over the world. So people from Europe, me, and I don't know who else. But I remember the Zoom meeting and I brought that up again because we were talking about this just like you and I. And I brought it up. I go, look, I try to bring it up here in the States. Someone, I don't remember if she was from Australia. I want to say Australia. That's the country. I remember she was like, oh, wait a minute. And her cute accent, I love their accent. And she's like, well, wait a minute. She said there's actually a study, but I think it's out there in Europe or in Australia. She says they're actually starting to do a study on that. And they're looking into the perfumes and the body sprays and what they put on and how much, whatever he said, what does he say? Phthalates,
About
yeah, and carcinogen. And she says they're actually, after all these years that I've been bringing it up, someone on the other side of the world is finally looking into that.
I used to get my hair straightened,
Mm.
um, the Brazilian blowouts when they first came out. Well, the original product that when it came out, they ended up finding out there was formaldehyde in it. And I wasn't masked, neither was my hairstylist.
Wow.
And even think about when you get your nails done. And this was another thing I never thought about. Um, when you get your nails done, all the nail techs, they all wear masks.
But we don't.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was something after I was diagnosed that I became conscious of. And I thought, you know what? I never, all the years I got my nails done. So are they ever going to be able to tell me what actually caused my lung cancer? Probably not.
No, we'll never.
Um, yeah, well, but it's just things now that, to be conscious of. And I like to tell others and just to share my experience. We don't know. There's so many things out there that can cause lung cancer.
Lucy, hey Lucy, thanks for joining. She goes, will those body and perfume sprays cause any kind of cancers? Well, Lucy, that's what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Um, they're finally starting to look into it. I guess they're doing research on it. So when we will find out, I don't know. But Steve, You remember Steve? Because Lucy used to work at she's now in Vegas, but she used to live over here by us, and she worked at the bank that we bank at. And so,
Okay.
so Lucy, Steve has been saying it for years that he truly, truly believes that body sprays, perfumes, all that stuff. He till this day he says it. He's like, because I thought for me it was secondhand smoking. Because mind you, I was born. I'm gonna give my age. I was born 68, so I grew up in the 70s. I was a little girl, and then I was a teen in the 80s. So 80s, woo, was my era. Best 80s was the best. I don't care
It
what
was the best air.
it was the best. So if you guys remember, everyone smoked. Everywhere you went, smoke, honey. They were smoking in the hospital. They were smoking at the airports, on the plane, in the offices. You go to an appointment, they're smoking right there. The whole, I mean, everywhere. Restaurants that had non-smoking section. I would look at them. Really, the smoke is coming over here while I'm eating, and I used to hate that. Um, Everywhere we went. I mean, when I was in junior high school, go to the roller ring. Well, everyone was smoking in the roller ring. It's movies in the theaters
Mhm.
everywhere. So I really thought mine was secondhand smoke. But if I don't know if you heard this, Tiffany, or anyone that's watching from the lung cancer community, I could have swore that I read somewhere or something that yes, secondhand smoking does play a factor, but it has to be, excuse my language, a shitload of secondhand smoking for you to get lung cancer. So
Mhm.
then I'm thinking, well, in the 80s, even 90s, I turned 21. Honey, my ass was at the clubs, at the bars every weekend inhaling that. I mean, and then my husband's a DJ. So every weekend, he DJ'd at this one club. We were there every Saturday. That place was so full of smoke. I used to come home stinking. Like I would go to sleep and my pillow would just reek of cigarettes. And I would have to wash my hair. And I had long hair back then. Had to wash my sheets all the time. And it's like, okay, I get it. I had to be around it like a shitload. I was. I
Yeah.
was. I was. Many of you might not. I was. I'm telling you, man, I mean, in the 80s, they had teen clubs, everyone smoked back then. I mean, I lived in that shit. So I would say, even my nephew says, Auntie, I think it was secondhand. And I believe that. And my husband was like, no. And I had other people say, no, it's got to be a lot. I go, well, I know I was around it a lot.
Mhm.
Everyone's body is different. But Steve still thinks it's the whatever's in the perfumes and body sprays and all that stuff. But there's other things. I mean, God, what's in our water? Steve tests
Yeah.
water all the time too, like faucet water. I used to drink a lot of water, especially when I started CrossFit. I drank so much water, but I mean, yeah, this is bottled water. We bought this because when we had a cookout and he bought a bunch, so I just drink it. But I drank a lot of my faucet water. Who's to say it wasn't that? Um, God, like you said, hair products. Oh my God, in the 80s, Aquanet. Do you
Oh
remember?
my god, I used to keep it in my locker in school.
Okay, who's to say it wasn't Aqua? And trust me, honey, I had short hair and I had that. Remember the 80s, your hair was up like this?
Yes.
Girl, I would I would blow dry my hair, okay, right? And do what I had to do. Girl, I would get the Aquanet like this, spray it, blow dry it.
Mhm.
And then but I had some nice, it looked like a sunflower. My hair was nice. I gotta show you pictures. But the Aquanet, who's to say it's not hairspray? It's so much
Yeah.
stuff that we don't know. And it could have been something from the 70s, 80s, even 90s. And then here you are in your 40s and 50s, and you're like, how the hell did I get lung cancer? Or how did I get this any type of cancer? Because they also want to say, oh, smoking's just for lung. Honey, people don't know that if you smoke, honey, that's linked to breast cancer. That's linked to throat cancer. That's linked to esophagus cancer, stomach cancer. So smoking is just not lung. They had, they've had, where it's linked to other cancers as well. So my mom would always boil our water. She said that her mom used to boil. the water nowadays. Oh, and she still boils the water. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you're right, Lucy. My mom used to too. This was back in the, I don't remember 70s. I was a little girl. 80s, I remember my mom boiled the water. But then back then, who knows what was in our water? And
yeah.
in where I live, you wake up because of we have the a huge steel mill here. Even here, you wake like my pool when we clean it, and the next day when we go, you could see like a layer of something on my pool from the steel mills and it will be covered in our cars. We're inhaling that. So yeah,
Even the wildfires, I went in, um, because it is one definitely of the side effects that I have is I get short of breath quick. And I when we had the wildfires coming from Canada, I ended up having to invest in getting air purifiers in my house.
oh, I remember last, was it last year? Yeah, it came, made it all the way to Chicago. I remember I was at the University of Chicago
Yeah.
Hospital and I came out and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? I couldn't breathe. I felt like it felt like severe humidity. I was like, I said, I go
Yes.
to walk across the street to the ER, but I mean I got used to it, but yeah. Oh yeah. And it's yeah. So guys, our what we say now is if you have lungs, you could get lung cancer.
Lung Yep.
Don't, okay, smoking, yes, is a factor, but just because you don't smoke, don't think that you can't get it. Because Tiffany didn't smoke, I didn't smoke. There's a lot of other factors, and smoking is not only linked to lung cancer, it's linked to many other cancers, breast cancer being one of them. So, I wanted to put that out there because I'm tired of people judging us and looking down on us and making us feel like, well, it's self-inflicted. You brought this upon yourself. No, we didn't. And if someone smoke, who cares? If they smoke, they got lung cancer, be there for them, help them, support them.
Mhm.
Who cares? Like I tell people, okay, that's like your doctor telling you, I'm just gonna make up a name, Jerry. I don't know what Jerry. Um, you're diabetic, so you need to cut your sugar, and you need to cut this, you need to cut that, and you're over there, knowing you're diabetic, your sugar is high, your A1C is high, and you're stuffing your face with donuts and bombs or whatever the hell, stuff that you shouldn't. So what's the difference of you doing that and someone smoking? They choose to smoke. You chose to continue eating donuts and sugary stuff and bombs and drinking cases of Coke or Pepsi or RC or Mountain Dew, whatever that has a crap load of caffeine, or, I mean sugar. You make that choice. So if Bob over there wants to smoke, and then Jerry, you made the choice to stuff your face with unhealthy stuff where your diabetic is all over the map, then who are you to judge and criticize Bob over there because he wants to smoke? And that's how I tell people. I go, it's mind your business.
Mm.
Just I mean, yeah, quit smoking. Yeah, that would be great. Your lungs will feel better. You'll feel better. But then I know so many people that 15, 20 years later, they got lung cancer. So it's a 50-50 chance if you quit. It's a 50-50. That's a chance you gotta, take. And that's up to you. It's your choice again, not ours. We're just here just to share stories and give advice the best that I can. I mean, So anyone out there, do you besides Lucy, thank you, Lucy, for on the comments. Now I do have trouble sometimes getting like on my phone comments. It has happened. So if you are asking questions, we're not answering it. I don't see it. I'm so sorry. But after this, I'll go back in there and Tiffany will go back and make sure we didn't miss anything. But if you
Oh,
have any questions, put them in the comments. And if not, and then we could go ahead and end it. And but before we go, Tiffany, do you have any words of encouragement, encouraging words, uplifting words, advice for our lung cancer community or anyone that might be going through something and really needs that confirmation, you know what I mean? That everything's gonna be okay.
So one of the things that I live by, and I tell this to anybody that I mentor as well, always have hope. Research is moving, things are changing. The earlier we find lung cancer, please do not ignore symptoms. Um, like I said, for me, it was extreme weight loss and fatigue.
Mhm.
I had not one breathing issue, and mine was migraines, vision changes. Well, mine had already spread to my brain.
Right.
So I never had any respiratory symptoms. Um, Shoulder pain, back pain, things like that. If you're experiencing a lot of that or you're getting frequent colds, say to your doctor, you know what? I want a chest x-ray.
Mhm.
Now, with saying that, the tumor has to be a certain size before it's going to show up. But if you keep getting these recurrent colds and you're just not getting better, push your doctor to get a CT scan.
Mhm.
It could just save your life.
I agree. Thank you for that, Tiffany. I appreciate it. And you heard her symptoms. Mine was wheezing. Excuse me. I started off wheezing, and then it followed with a persistent cough that would not go away. And then right before I was diagnosed, I had tightness, shortness of breath, and tightness in my chest. But that was already way in there. Wait, because symptoms started in June of 2014, and that was wheezing, and I wheezed the whole summer, and it just got worse and worse and worse until the cough came. And then the cough got from, I want to say, late August to September, the cough came and it was bad. And then between September to November, the cough just got worse and worse and worse. So, yes, and like, oh, thank you. And like Tiffany said, if you have that persistent cough, if you're always getting sick, you always have that cold. Um, things like that, you know. Um, I had a chest x-ray first. Mine did not show up in my tumor, my whatever they call it, mass, did not show up in a chest x-ray. So, and I don't remember how big mine was. I don't think it was that big. I don't remember. But I remember it wasn't inoperable. Um, and then of course nothing showed up in the x-ray, so we didn't, I should have insisted a CT scan, but they thought I had asthma because I had the symptoms of asthma, all of it. That's why they thought I had asthma. Even my pulmonary specialist thought it was asthma. So, and if you guys, someone who was just watching, I pray and hope, that you never go through what we go through. But if something starts to happen, you know, give me a call. Look for Tiffany and we could guide you. We're here to guide you guys. And if you're newly diagnosed and you're not sure, 10 years, 7 years, we're here for you. Reach out to me or reach out to Tiffany. All right, guys?
Please, please, I urge anybody.
Yes. And she's a registered nurse, so she knows a lot more than me when it comes to the medical world. But shoot, doing this for 10 years, I feel like I could be a nurse.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can.
But
We
reach out,
all can.
yes. But reach out to us if you're newly diagnosed, or if you know someone that was just diagnosed, send them our way. We are always here. And like I said, I forgot to text that poor. Oh my God, that girl probably thinks she's like probably cursing me out. I just forgot. I just been so busy. But yeah. So next week, God, who am I interviewing? Hold on, guys. I'll let you know. Where's my calendar? Um, so next week, the 26th, same. So I like to say this, same bat time, same bat channel. I'm not even a Batman fan, but I like saying that. So next week, same time, same channel. I'm gonna be interviewing Kathleen Trask Johnson, and I got to get her information. So that's the next week. So join us next week, guys. We'd love to have you come join us, hear her story. see what her deal is. And that's about it. Again, Tiffany, thank you so much for doing this, taking the time, on a Thursday evening to share your story. It was amazing. We learned a lot. Thank you for your input. Thank you for your expertise as being a nurse and everything else. I learned a lot from you and I am truly grateful. And again, thank you.
Thank you for having me, my friend. I'm glad to do this.
Yes, yes. And thank you always for supporting me. You're awesome. And all you
Mwah.
guys that mwah. And all you guys that are watching, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking some time off on your busy evening and joining us and listening to Tiffany's story. Please come back again next week. Join us to listen and hear Kathleen's journey with lung cancer. And I'll see you guys then. Everyone have a good night and have a good upcoming weekend.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.